Hello and welcome back to episode 3 in the series Through the Eyes of an Equestrian. Today I'm talking to the lovely Jess Dunn about her dressage career so far and how she's gone from ponies to Grand Prix. So Jess, introduce yourself.
I'm Jess Dunn. I am currently a rider at Whitehill Stud in Burnley, Lancashire, and I'm training and competing up to Grand Prix with a couple of small tall horses and a couple of lovely 4 and 5 year olds.
From the beginning then, where did the journey with horses start for you?
I mean, my mum was horsey. She was into racing and worked on hunt yards. I think she was pretty disappointed when I decided to do dressage. I was always brought up around them. I had my first pony when I was 1, and I think it still tried to chuck me off every day until the moment I got rid of it at 7. I haven't really thought about doing anything else, to be honest. And I think with the upbringing that mum gave me, it was always going to be so.
Like any rider, you've had some pretty special moments in your career so far, probably the obvious one being riding your first Grand Prix. But in 2009, you were selected to represent Team GB at the Sydney Youth Olympics. What was that like?
It's weird, really, because now I seem to think that that it never really happened. It was such a big deal. I don't think I really took it in as much as I probably would do now, but it was incredible. And just for everything, just going to a place like Australia and meeting the people that I did, and I got to go on a really good team with 2 other lovely dressage riders. It was such a privilege to have been picked and chosen, and obviously we did really well. So it was amazing. It was.
Since then, you've done multiple things in the dressage world. But before you came back and took things professionally in the UK, you went to work for Mr. Harveywetdog in Germany.
That was a big deal for me to go there because I'm, not the most confident person. So to up sticks and just leave was, I always think now I'm probably my proudest achievement, coping and being there. And, but yeah, I learned so much there. And, I know I'm privileged that I still keep in contact with him now, and if I'm struggling with something, I can still call him and speak to him, and he sends me bits of advice. And it was. I don't think I'd be where I am now if I hadn't have had his help. So he was very monumental in my career.
Would you say then that he is the main reason that you decided to pursue a career within dressage professionally?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've always said that I'll only ever do horses because I'm not very good at anything else. But the way that he did things, I think he showed me that you could have an incredible amount of love for what you do, but still make it a viable business. And yeah, it takes a lot of hard work, and it's not the easiest job in the world. But I like to think that I bring a lot of his teachings back to what I do now, whether it's me training the horses or whether it's me teaching my clients. I try to always keep him in mind because as people will know, he is my god. I won't have any bad words said against him or anything like that. I just think whatever he did was fantastic. I think he probably spurred me on to make it more of a profession than anything else.
So now you're based up at the lovely Whitehill Stud in Lancashire with multiple horses to ride amongst your superstars. How important is this to you in progressing in your career and just having that team support?
So I started riding for Jen, I think 4 years ago, and I sort of moved in full time a year ago. I think it was a year ago in November. It's so nice to have somebody who's so supportive, and it's so easygoing, and we have a really good friendship as well as like partnership with the horses. So most of the time we're on the same wavelength with everything, and it just works. So I think that's taken a lot of stress out of it, because I am quite an anxious person, but then at the same time I can be quite outspoken and not really think about what I've said before I've said it, and then get myself in a bit of trouble. So, and Jen's pretty relaxed with me just saying, oh, really sorry, I didn't mean it like that, or whatever. So so that's helped me loads, because it's taken the stress out of it, and I've learned to be in a proper partnership with somebody, like business partnership, and really just work together on the future of the horses. And her vision is always that, yes, we would like to go Grand Prix and we love going to internationals and everything like that, but at the end of the day she wants her horses happy and well trained and to enjoy the whole process. And that's been it's nice knowing that you haven't got that real intense pressure from your owners or your support team, that you've got to be here, there and everywhere, or at loads of competitions, or if they're 4 or 5, they've got to be at a certain stage. She's just super laid back about all that. So that's nice. It makes my job easy, because then I feel like we can, take horses at their own pace and just really make sure that they're where they need to be at the right time, but without pushing them too hard.
So your star horse at the moment is the lovely Alicante Valley, Cello to everybody who knows him, and he is the horse that gave you your first ever ride at Grand Prix. How was it to finally reach that level?
Huge. We were so giddy. Like, we would just send messages constantly to each other before like doing the first Grand Prix, like, oh my god, I can't believe we're actually doing this. And my first one was like, it was all over the place, and I rode to the wrong markers, and we didn't do that many Piaffe Passage transitions and things like that. But like, we both cried afterwards, because it's just such a big thing to get there. And obviously I've been working at it for ages, and Cello, we weren't quite sure if he'd pick up the whole Grand Prix thing and be fine with it. So just for us all to be at that level and enjoy it, and actually see some massive highlights that will be really good parts of our test in the future, is quite exciting, really. So at least I think we always thought that if we just took part, that would be fine. But now it's quite exciting that we have had a few really good results. And although the championships at Hartbury didn't quite go our way, it's super exciting to see all the good bits of how we could come out and actually be competitive. So that's even more exciting.
Alongside Cello, you also have some very exciting horses in the pipeline. One of those being Ferdy, who's at advanced medium level, and then the lovely Dreamy, who's also owned by Jen. So, what are your plans for those two? Do you want them to follow in the footsteps of Cello and grow Grand Prix?
Both the other two are a little bit more difficult than Cello in their characters. Like, Cello just desperately wants to be in the public eye, and he loves to perform, and he gets a little bit nervous, but he's not he's quite easy to ride in that respect. Like, if you tell him that we're going to just go for it, then he's like, oh yeah, okay, and carries on. Whereas the other two are a little bit more nervous and question you a bit more. So I would really, really like them to compete at small tour this year, and obviously world dependent, I would love to go abroad with them, but it will just be whether they can cope with it mentally. Dreamy has got some unbelievable potential in him, but it's making him realise that he can do it. We're just starting to find new gears, and he's learnt his changes, and they're all everything's coming together really nicely. But still, in the arena, he gets very nervous that people are watching, and he's not quite as much of a showman as Cello would be, but he's definitely got it in there. He just doesn't get it yet. So yeah, if they could come out at small tour this year, then that would be enough for me. I'd be happy. They both are working small tour at home. It's just that gaining that confidence in the arena, but that again takes time.
As well as training and competing yourself, you also teach across multiple different disciplines, whether that is Robin Gray, who's competing at 3-star in eventing, or of course the Davenports who show jump internationally. So has dressage always been your forte, or do you enjoy the variation?
It's all very different, and I think that's probably why I enjoy it as much. I've probably made no secret of the fact that as much as I love my discipline, it can also be quite boring, especially when you're just watching things day in, day out. But I have some really cool clients, and I have a range of different horses, whether they be little fell ponies or traditional cobs to nice fancy dressage horses. But then teaching people like Robin and the Davenports, it's just nice to, I don't mind teaching anybody, as long as they have that willingness to learn, and they just come with so many different ideas or issues, or it's quite cool, like putting the jumpers into the mix, because it so depends on how like they jump or how they go in an arena, and it's good for me and my like education and learning for them to say, oh well, we always have the second part of a double down, or I don't turn very well in a jump off or anything like that, and then I can think, right, okay, well, these are the exercises we can do on the flat to improve that. And we've had some really good results with some of the younger horses at show jumping and eventing, where they've come with sort of really like ongoing issues, and then they've within a season we've all sort of ironed them out, and they've been all found that it's been a massive improvement. So things like that like really spur me on to keep going and improving and learning, and that's part of my passion. I would say that I love that bit of it.
Looking ahead to the future now, we've spoke about your aspirations for your horses, but you yourself, what is your aim within the next 5 years? Are you hoping to break it onto national teams in terms of Nations Cup, or are you just hoping to get more experience at Grand Prix?
We have sort of talked about it with I train with Richard Davison, and we have sort of talked about it a little bit. It would be, obviously that would be amazing, and I would love that, but just to carry on the way we're going, and for all the horses to improve, and keep working towards them all being at Grand Prix would be great. Obviously Nations Cup would be great, and I'd love to go abroad on it, even if they did a small tour. I'm probably a little bit more relaxed than I was a few years ago with where I'd like to be. Reaching the dizzy heights of your big internationals and stuff is amazing, but I think with COVID and stuff, it's made me just realise that the day-to-day stuff can be just as rewarding. It's not all about the competing.
Leading on to my last question for you, what would your advice be to young riders? So the young riders who might be watching this and thinking, I want a professional career in dressage, but I'm not sure how to make it work economically, or how do I get my name in the door? What would your advice be to them to make their dreams become a reality, as you have done with yours?
I would just say to get as much experience as possible. I don't think I would be where I am now if I hadn't have gone to Germany and have been under Herr watch. He was very, very disciplined and very hard on me, and I probably cried most nights. But I just think it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of persistence and a lot of range of different things. I think I've seen a lot of cases where people go and spend a summer working for a top rider, or maybe just a year, and then think that that's enough, and it really isn't. I've worked for so many different people, and whether it be eventing or dressage or jumpers, or just breaking yards, even though that's definitely not my forte, but I think gaining as much experience from as many different people as possible, even if you don't necessarily agree with everything they do, you'll always take something from them. I got knocked back a lot through like trying to get funding and stuff when I was a junior, and trying to like help mum and dad out by getting the funding, but you just have to keep going, and it does take a knock to your confidence, and you do think like, oh, maybe, if those people don't think that I'm good enough, then maybe I'm not. But you'll always find your niche of what you're good at, and I think it takes a long time to get there. I think it's taken me a long time to understand what my strengths and weaknesses are and be happy with that. I'm not going to be good at everything, and I do think that the amount that I've learned from many different people has probably helped me realise that. So I would say definitely travel around and, you know, go to as many different disciplines and things that you can do just to gain experience.